this is what management is.
Yeah.
And I think this is where, for me, you know, over the course of the season, I think there'll be a lot to sort of look back on maybe around the time we get to Christmas in terms of where we're trying to integrate things at the right time. I think everything can be integrated, if you sort of know what I mean. Everything can, to an extent, at least theoretically work. And if you've got good players, but there is a little bit of a thing about what you're choosing to do when. I think Robertson's I think all of Andy Robertson's Liverpool career is really interesting on this. You know, the team, the club are very much committed to Kirkes in the early part of the season. But when Andy Robertson signed, they didn't commit to Andy Robertson.
No.
He does not establish himself in that Liverpool team until January after he signed. Here, in this game, I thought he made Van Dijk's life easier. I thought he made Gakpo's life easier. I thought he made McAllister's life easier. And by virtue of that, they were all able to make other players' lives easier. Yeah. And, you know, Robertson's 31 now, and we know that there were periods last season where he looked like he could be caught out. I thought he was excellent yesterday, and I think you got to see that maybe thinking about the integration as more of a whole piece that might take an extended period of time is no bad thing, especially when you can go and say, Andy, we could really do with something today, come and deliver for us, and he does.
Yeah, he does, yeah. I thought it was the performance of an experienced pro, to be honest. And I think going into the game, we were chatting about, you know, would you persevere with Kirkes? And I've been someone who said, well, the manager's brought him in, he's the future. I can understand why he keeps playing him to an extent, but it did feel this game was one for Andy Robbo. I think there was times during the recent Palace game in the League Cup where Kirkes just looked at maybe a little bit short of confidence now, shy of confidence because of everything that's happened. So Robbo comes in, does really, really well. But I think we know, we've seen enough of Andy Robertson in the last 12 months to know his powers are fading a little bit. You know, can he go 2-3 games on the spin without making a mistake? Not too sure.
But what he can do though, Ian, is he can deal with a setback.
Yeah,
he can deal with the lads who've got the better
absolutely.
on me. I think it's a really interesting. I'm going to get on to really praising Salah in a minute, not least for the goal. But I think what's really interesting is Luca Digne is a very good Premier League left back. Evertonian, so we don't want to go too far, but a very good Premier League left back who has played for a team that have come top 4, and that's what he is. And Salah batters him. He absolutely batters him. And my point here is twofold. One is sometimes, no matter how much experience you've got, you'll get battered if you're going to be a defender, especially in those wide areas. One-on-one, practically, you know, and I'm not going to say anyone can batter anyone, but for instance, Digne might next week, I don't know who they've got, but he might come up against Semenyo, and he might be thinking, Jesus Christ, this 2 weeks on the bounce, because Semenyo is really, really good, and that's when you need teammates and you need support. But the other thing that Digne does manage to do in the game, and I said before about second halves, is he keeps his head. He doesn't start going, oh my God, my game's falling apart around me. And I think that's the Kirkes problem, is that a bad 5 minutes leads to a bad 15.
Yeah.
Robertson, you know, gets sound a couple of times in the first half, looks like he might just have the run on him. Robertson just keeps his nerve, and then keeps his nerve for the next 10 minutes, and to me, that made a big difference.
Yeah, it's entirely fair, and you know, who you come up against is a factor, and I think, listen, I'm not gonna write off 21-year-old footballers for Liverpool. After 10 fucking minutes, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to interest in doing it because the chances are he probably will come good. But even if he doesn't, the manager will look at it for the next 12 months. And if he's not right for the club, well then you take your medicine, you move him on, you go and buy someone else. That's football. But it's too early to be doing that. And I think, you know, I've had sympathy with both fullbacks at times, and that's not saying it's been great. And when I say both fullbacks, I mean right hand side, left hand side. So maybe Conor Bradley, who again plays much better.
Plays himself into it. I don't think he was great first 15 either, but by 70 he looked himself.
And I think there's been a little bit of that where Conor Bradley's probably thinking, fucking hell, I'm all right with Kirkes coming through the door because he's taking all of the heat here. He's taking all of the fucking heat. And you know, I've heard shows recently where people are battering Kirkes and saying, well, Bradley's doing okay. Well, I go, no, both of them have been short of the level. Let's have it right. They've both been short of the level. And in my opinion, they're both capable of more than that. And I think both will improve and can improve. And I think you'll see that maybe over the course of the season. You hope so. But in the case of Robbo, as you said, one thing you know, he knows how to handle, through experience, setbacks. Things can go wrong. It won't see him fall apart because he's got that level of knowledge, that level of experience now. He's been there, he's done it. People will have said it on various shows. He's in the conversation for Liverpool's greatest ever left back. That's how good he is. That's how good he's been. So we're not talking about some mug here. We're talking about one of the greatest players to do it in that position. So, of course, what a guy to be able to call on. And we'll have to see whether he can, you know, we can go again against Madrid. Does he play him against City? Different challenges, all that kind of stuff. The manager will have to think about that because, you know, I think where I've looked at Robbo sometimes and thought, it's not necessarily who he's up against. It's things like where he's just switched off back post. You see it against Chelsea, but there's been other times as well. Even say for Scotland this season where he gets away with one, where they go with the Salah, he's just switched off. His reactions aren't quite as quick as they once were. But there's no doubt, as a a lad who comes in for the lad you bought, there's not many better than Robbo to be able to call upon.
I thought he was great. As soon as you just see him in a Liverpool shirt in that starting 11, he made Liverpool look like Liverpool again. That connection with McAllister, like you said. But going forward as well, there was a few...
He really bounces us.
Yeah, he really bounces. There was a few nearly balls. There was a ball, I think it was in the second half, and Salah would have got on the end of it for a tap-in, which looked a fantastic ball, which I'm not seeing from Kirkers, and I think he is right in the sense that you don't write a footballer off. He's had a couple of good performances. At this moment, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if the managers just put him in for yesterday, in the sense that, like, well, Kirkers has got to play against Real Madrid. I'm sure their wingers are going to be a little bit more trickier and a lot more quicker. The same for Manchester City. So maybe he's saving them. Maybe there's a big more of a confidence boost here for Kirkers than you realise. He might be saying, I'm saving you for Real Madrid and I'm saving you for Manchester City. And actually Kirkers is all right and he's ready for that moment. Or maybe this is a moment where he's like, well, no, this is the 11. Everyone outside this 11 needs to work the way back in. That could be the possibility. Maybe that's why we didn't see many substitutions. I'm not sure, but he definitely adds the balance. And like I said, making Liverpool look like Liverpool again. But lastly, I just say about Robertson is that he had a bit of a season last season where he wasn't the greatest, but still had good moments. He won the Premier League. But can you imagine having a year speculation that there's a lad coming in for you? So not only is he on the decline slightly, maybe it's been exaggerated a little bit because just your confidence, like rumour has it he was going to leave in the summer, so the fact that he didn't, if you're coming to the end of your time, it psychologically affects you. The start of the season, it psychologically affects you that there's a young lad that's coming, so maybe it's overplayed, maybe he can do a bit more of a job this season than we think he could have.